Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today I'm going to be doing a Mutant deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck is an extremely consistent deck that's super fun to play with, that I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name description for every single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Mutant MO5. This card is an amazing 3 of in the build that has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a mutant monster from your deck to your hand except another copy of this card, making this card the Stratos of the deck. It also has the ability to contribute this card and then banish 1 card from your hand or face set from field to special summon a monster from your hand or deck based on the banished card. If you banish a monster, you summon out Mutant Beast. If you banish a spell, Mutant Mist. And if you banish a trap, Mutant Arsenal, which is great to instantly get one of our boss monsters out on the field. We then play 3 copies of Mutant ST46. Mutant ST46 is great because this card has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you can add a mutant spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect for this card to have to instantly get any of our mutant spells or traps that we need. You can also tribute this card and then banish a card from your hand or face it from field to special summon a monster from your hand or deck, just like your copy of MO5. And cool fact about these cards is ST stands for spell trap and M stands for monster, which makes it an easy way to remember what you're trying to search when you summon out these cards. We then play 3 copies of Mutant. This card is an amazing extender for the deck and a definite 3-up in the build, with a crazy powerful effect that if you control a mutant card, you can special summon this card from your hand. And you can tribute this card and then banish a mutant card from your hand or deck to special summon a monster from your hand or deck based on the banished card, but you lose life points equal to the special summon monster's original attack. And if you banish a monster, Mutant Beast. If you banish a spell, Mutant Mist. And if you banish a trap, Mutant Arsenal, which is great to get your boss monsters out on the field with these cards. Plus, they're all psychic monsters, making it super easy to bring them out to your side of the field with cards like E-Telly. We then play 2 copies of Mutant Beast. This card is a great 2-of in the deck, and it's just an awesome boss monster overall because it's a walking negate and has the ability that it cannot be special summoned except with the effect of a mutant card. And your opponent cannot target this card with monster effects, and it has a really cool ability that when your opponent activates a spell or effect, quick effect, you can banish a card from your hand or field to negate the activation, and if you do, banish that card, which is great that this card is a walking spell negate. And if this card is destroyed by an opponent's card, then you can target one of your banished mutant traps and add it to your hand. We then play a single copy of Mutant Mist. Mutant Mist is great in the deck as a 1-up because this card has the ability that your opponent cannot target it with spell effects, and also when your opponent activates a trap or effect, quick effect, banish 1 card from your hand or field to draw 2 cards, and if your opponent destroys this card, then you can target one of your banished mutant monsters and add it to your hand. We then play a single copy of Mutant Arsenal. Arsenal is really good as a 1-of in the build as well, just like your copy of Mist, and this card has the ability to your opponent cannot target this card with trap effects, and when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 card from your hand or field and then target a monster on the field and banish it, just being able to spot remove a monster off the field. And if your opponent does destroy this card, then you can target one of your banished mutant spells and add it to your hand. We then play 3 copies of Shifter. Shifter is amazing in this deck as a 3-up because we really don't care about the graveyard at all in this deck. So this card is really good to be able to just drop this card against your opponent and usually instantly win the game when this card resolves. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom's amazing as a 3-of in the build, basically just to stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get in to the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Mutant Fusion. Mutant Fusion is really good as a 1-of in the deck to be able to fusion summon out our Mutant Fusion monsters, which are our main boss monsters we're trying to summon out to our side of the field. This card is an amazing card because it lets us fusion summon a Mutant Fusion monster from our extract by banishing fusion materials listed on it from our hand or field. And if your opponent has activated a card or effect this turn, you can also use a monster from your deck or graveyard as a fusion material, which is a really cool ability. We then play 2 copies of Mutant Evolution Lab. Mutant Evolution Lab is a great field spell to be able to play in this deck, because when this card is activated, you can special summon one of your level 4 lower mutant monsters from your hand, or that's banished. And mutant monsters you control gain 100 attack for each of your banished mutant cards with a different name, and once per turn during your main phase, you can place a mutant monster from your hand on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, draw a card, because you don't want to have cards like Mutant Mist, Arsenal, or Beast in your hand. You want those cards in the deck so that you can summon them out with your copies of your little mutant cards, so it's really important to be able to put them back into the deck. We then play 3 copies of E-Telly. E-Telly is really good to be able to summon out our copy of MO5, ST46, or our copies of Mutant to our side of the field, and this card is just really good in the deck as a 3 of. We then play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. We don't need every card in the extra deck, so this card is really good at helping us dig into the deck to get the exact cards that we need, and just helps the consistency of the build overall. Prosperity is just an amazing card. So, that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Impermanence is really good as a 3 of in the build, just to stop your opponent's monster effects while also locking down entire columns of spells and traps. We then play 3 copies of Mutant Cry. Mutant Cry is definitely a 3 of in the build, and this card is one of the most powerful cards in the entire deck, because during the main phase, you get to fusion summon a mutant fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck from among cards on the field or in the graveyard, or face-up banished cards, which is great to be able to recycle your cards back into your deck while also summoning out a boss monster, which is just so cool. We then play 3 copies of Mutant Expansion. Mutant Expansion is really good as a 3 of in the deck, and this card is the ability, when this card is activated, you get to take a level 4 lower mutant monster from the deck and either add it to your hand or special summon it, and if a level 8 or higher mutant monster you control would be destroyed by card effect, you can banish this card that you control instead, giving you a little bit of protection, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of an extremely spicy tech card that usually wins you games, and that's going to be 3 copies of Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos is a great floodgate to be able to play in the deck, because it just banishes any card that touches the grave, which is just so cool, because it has the ability, when this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the grave is banished instead. So this card is definitely a 3 of in the deck, just to be able to flip against the opponent and just banish every card that's going to touch the graveyard. This card just wins so many games for me as I've been playtesting this deck. And it's really good to combo with cards like Shifter, because if you go into your game and you've already resolved a card and the card's in the graveyard and you have this card in your hand and you have Shifter and you draw into a copy of Shifter, you're at least guaranteed to be able to lock down the graveyard by flipping this card up. And you can always use Shifter for a different play, which is really cool, like one of your mutant costs, which is just really nice. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Mutant Synthesis. This card is a main boss monster we're going to be summoning out of the extra deck, and this card is really easy to summon out because it just requires 2 mutant monsters with different attributes. And if this card is fusion summoned, you can target 1 card on the field and just instantly destroy it, which is great to be able to do. And when your opponent activates a card effect, quick effect, you can activate this effect that for the rest of the turn, this face-up card is unaffected by the effects of your opponent's card with the same type, monster, spell, or trap as that card. And this fusion summon card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card, then you can add one of your banished mutant cards to your hand, which is a really cool ability. We then play a single copy of Mutant Ultimus. This card is basically like Invoked Makaba, but you don't summon it all that often. It's very rare because you have to put all of your level 8 or higher mutant monsters into this card, because it requires 3 monsters, so you have to use usually all 3 of your main deck monsters, meaning you don't really make this card. It has the ability, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can banish a mutant card from your hand or graveyard or face up from field with the same type, monster, spell, or trap to negate the activation if you do banish that card, which is a pretty cool ability, and it is a 3,500 attack point monster. We then play a single copy of number 97. Number 97 is really good in this deck as a 1-of to be able to bring out our copy of number 38, which is a spell negate, or number 100, which is actually going to come out at about 9,000 attack points to OTK your opponent. We then play a single copy of of double a Zeus to be able to board wipe the field, which is really nice to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Typhon, because this card is just insane and belongs in just about any deck to be able to just bounce cards off the field, and it's so easy to make. We then play a single copy of Access Code. Access Code's really good to be able to pop multiple cards on the field and comes out absolutely massive. Play a single copy of Nightmare Unicorn to spin stuff. One copy of Nightmare Phoenix to pop spells and traps. A single copy of SP Little Knight, which you can change this card out for like Nightmare Cerberus if you want to, for another budget option for you guys. But if you have SP Little Knight, definitely play it because it's a double interruption. We then play a single copy of IP Masquerena. Masquerena is really good to be able to make your copy of Unicorn or SP Little Knight during the opponent's turn. We play a single copy of Cross Sheep because we do make a lot of fusion monsters in the form of our synthesis. So this card brings back a monster from the grave, which is really nice to be able to do unless we have cards like Macrocosmos or Shifter as already resolved. So this card is just a good option. If you can make it, you do make it. And then finally play a single copy of Linkuriboh because we do play level 1s in the deck. So this card is just really good to be able to make just in case. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoy it. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played Myutant before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's just really fun to be able to play. It's a great deck to be able to just summon out some really cool boss monsters, and I absolutely love how you have a Spell Trap Searcher as a normal summon and a Monster Searcher as a normal summon, which is just so cool. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.